We're really excited to talk with Eagles wide receivers coach Aaron Moorehead to talk about the Eagles' first round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Jalen Reagor. Coach, thanks for joining us. And really quick, I want to get your thoughts, get your scouting report here on Jalen Reagor. But before you kind of get into the weeds a little bit, what was when you first turned on the tape, when you first started watching, you get 10, 15, 20 plays in, what was like the first trait that really stood out to you when you watched Jalen on film?
I think the first thing you see is he's an explosive guy. You know, he's got those physical freaky traits. You know, and you see that with him. But you definitely saw the explosion in speed. That was evident with some of the early clips that I saw, and as we got digging, you started seeing some of the other things that makes him special.
And then talk about him as in terms of like as a route runner, as a pass catcher, yards after catch. What are some of the wide receiver specific traits that stood out to you in terms of his skill set?
Well, Jalen does a good job of separating in and out of his breaks, and I think that's a good thing. Young guys tend to struggle with that, so that's a good thing. He's got a good start there. He's a great run after the catch guy with his speed and explosion, and that's really good, you know. And he was at TCU, and the offense they ran was a spread, so there's going to be a little difference in the offensive systems, and he's going to have to get up to speed there as far as teaching and some of the route concepts and things like that. But he's such a good athlete. I'm not worried that he won't be able to pick it up, and we have all off season to get together, via uh, Microsoft Teams or whatever different landscape we need to use to make sure that we get him up to speed before training camp starts. But excited to get this thing going with him.
So I know that you played with his father, with Monte Rigor in Indianapolis. How long did it take for when you started talking with Jalen for you to kind of bring that up, or did you know him when he was just a little guy?
Oh, I mean, I've actually known Jalen for a long time, and then I recruited him when I was at Texas A&M, and I've always stayed in touch with his dad, Monte, for forever. I mean, so it was a pretty natural transition. I mean, that wasn't anything that needed to be brought up. That was something we all knew, and excited that the possibility might be there, and I was excited when Howie made the pick.
I know that he went to TCU. I know for family reasons. What was it like recruiting him when you were at A&M? And then tell us a little bit about Jalen as the kid. We got to hear from him with the press conference. Dave Spadaro caught up with him one on one. What are the Eagles getting in a person? What can the Eagles fans expect?
I mean, he's a competitive guy. Jalen's a guy that really is not too flashy, not a guy that's going to go over the top with things, but at the end of the day, he's super confident, and he is confident in his ability. He's confident in what he can bring to an organization, and he's confident what he can bring to our receiver room, and that's a good thing. You never want to take a guy's confidence away. You want to continue to build on it, and I think that Jalen's a guy, in my opinion, that is growing and has continued to grow. And I've fortunately been able to watch him as a young guy, then reconnect with him kind of in his high school years, and then seen him grow at the collegiate level, and now get to see him grow as a young man. So it's a pretty cool transition that we've had, and kind of something that I think when we look back on this, that we'll be able to appreciate kind of the beginning, the middle, and the end of this thing, that we've been able to be in each other's lives. And I always told him when he went to TCU that he had to do what he had to do, but at the end of the day, just make sure that you treat people the right way, because you never know how this thing's going to come back. And funny enough, this thing came full circle.
Sure. Coach, one thing I would love to be able to ask you, just in terms of some big picture wide receiver talks. I think when couple weeks ago, I talked with Marquand Manuel, your counterpart on the defensive side,
Yeah.
talking about ball skills versus hands as a defensive back. I would love to pose that same question to you. Talking about the wide receiver position, people talk about hands and drops and ball skills, ability to track it. How do you differentiate between a guy's hands and his ball skills? What's coachable and what's not? What can improve?
Well, I think you're always going to be able to improve your hands. That's jugs work. That's continuous repetition, catching from the quarterbacks, things like that. Ball skills, I think, is something that you kind of just have, and that's natural ability. that's what Jalen has. Jalen's had that since he was a kid, and Jalen's had that. That's something in there. Now, hands is something you have to continually work on. That's what the greats do. They're constantly on the jugs machine. They're constantly catching the football, and that's just something that every day that you need to continue to stress. Not only as a coach, but yourself as a player. Something that I did as a player. Something that I watched the guys in my room when I played, the Marvin Harrisons, the Reggie Waynes, the Brandon Stokely, the Troy Walters, guys that had long careers and are considered, really good players. I watched those guys as a young player, and that's what drove me to say, well, if they're doing it, I need to be doing double because I'm nowhere near where they are right now as a young player. So that's something that I'm hoping Jalen will see early on and get with and understand what it takes to be a pro.
I feel like Eagles fans they're aware of Deshaun Jackson and what his ball tracking ability down the field, and I feel like Jalen was able to put some of that on display at TCU. His ability to track it through his eyelids and find the football, make a play on it. Certainly had a couple drops in there mixed in, but his ability to track it, find it, locate it, and make a play on it, really really impressive. So no, I was glad that you were able to bring that one to bring that part of it up. My last question for you, Coach. One of the things that I've kind of watched with the receiver position over the last couple of years, and I feel like is just so important, is a guy's ability to be able to play through contact. Early in the down, mid route, certainly at the catch point in the NFL, everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. How does that factor into the evaluation for you? A guy's ability to be able to play through contact early, midway, and then late in the down.
Well, I think that you have to track those things. You have to chart them. You have to be able to understand who this guy is, what he's going to work on, what he's really good at. And Jalen's a really strong guy. I mean, he's going to be 195, 200-pound guy. He's for a guy who's 5'10" and a half, 5'11. That's really impressive. He's got a thick body that he can fight through contact. He's strong, and he can still continue to use his hands and press a little better. But that stuff is stuff that you teach, the stuff that you continue to to talk through to create separation through your routes. And the cool thing he has is there's one of the best people in football at creating space within his routes sitting right in our room in Deshaun Jackson. So, Jalen's going to have some good people to learn from. He's going to have his natural ability and skill set to be able to work with, and just excited to see what he's going to bring, and excited to get to work. I think that's the biggest thing. The first thing that Jalen said was like, Coach, I just want to get there and play. And we kind of had to talk through. There's not a lot we can do right now. You just got to sit back, and there's a little bit on your own, and we'll come up with a plan for him to be successful. And there'll be a lot of film study on his own, and a lot of meetings with us when they start letting that happen, and obviously a lot of field work where he's got to find creative ways to catch footballs over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, Coach, with that being said, thanks so much for joining us here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. Hope to see you and obviously see Jalen at the NovaCare Complex sooner rather than later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.